Good afternoon, everyone! Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Maayong hapon kaninyong tanan. Buenas tardes, amigos, amigas. Welcome to the first webinar of Zamboanga Peninsula Region Librarians Council in partnership with Regalo Touching Lives entitled Librarians in Action. My name is Marky and I am your host for this event. Ayan, kumusta po kayong lahat? Before we start, we just want to know where our participants are coming from. Use the chat box to type your name, your institutions and organizations affiliated with, and your locations. Para naman po malaman namin kung taga saan po kayong lahat. So, let me see in the chat box. So, shout out to Ma'am Angeline Cruz from Montalban Municipal E-Library. Hi, Ma'am Angeline. So, ayan, shout out din kay Ma'am Sheila. Hi, Ma'am. Good afternoon. She's from Olongapo City Public Library. So, ayan. As of this moment, we have a total of 658 participants are tuning in this webinar. So I know you are all excited for today's event. So we are so overwhelmed for your active participations of our webinar this afternoon. So for the objective of this webinar, here are the following. First is to identify the common practices related to the utilization of social media and learn some approaches on how to effectively integrate social media tools in your own library, especially in times of pandemic. Become aware of the mental and physical health issues among library personnel and the potential effects on job performances. And to enhance the role of libraries as support to the community with mental health and emotional challenges. So handa na po ba kayong lahat? Ayan, parang rated K lang po. Because I am very much excited to hear the discussions of the two resource speakers for this afternoon. I hope you are all in your comfortable area with fast internet connection so that you can listen attentively and learn from these very timely, relevant, and interesting topics. To start off, let us bow down our heads and feel the presence of the Almighty Father for the prayer, then followed by the Philippine national anthem, Zamboanga Hermosa hymn, and fly hymn.
Sang-awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, helas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa dagatang tunog, sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinagang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitindig. Luman ang araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Zamboanga, hermosa, preciosa, perlita, orgullo de Mindanao. Sus peleas delagas son las que mosean tu deliciosa ciudad. Flores de amores te adornan su jardín. Eres la imagen del bello Edén. Zamboanga, hermosa, preciosa, perlita, orgullo de Mindanao. Flores de amores te adornan su jardín. Eres la imagen del bello Edén. Zamboanga, hermosa, preciosa, perlita, orgullo de Mindanao.
Philippine Librarians Association, hail to you as we go on over the world and field of information. You're that light of hope for our nation. Long live your name that you may be made known. May you reach that golden throne. There may be some storm, but you won't be alone. Lead us the way we shall be marching on. All we can give is but a part of our time. Your memories of yesteryears will cherish in our minds. must be marching on till the end of time. Throughout the world your name we shall behold. All your dreams we shall unfold. Your precious name deserves respect and honor. We'll be there to serve forevermore. Let there be hope as comes the morning sun, and joy till day is done. We librarians all are here at your command. Bind us in one, united we can stand. You're the one we love, the one that we adore. Philippine Librarians Association.
Ayan, good afternoon again. So as of this moment, we have a total of 971 participants are tuning in, and we have 628 in our YouTube live streaming. So to formally open this event, may I call on Ms. Emma Ray, the president of PLY, for her welcome address.
Let me congratulate the officers and members of Zamboanga Peninsula Region Librarians Council under the leadership of Ms. Winnie Kalingasyon for organizing this webinar for librarians during this time of lockdown, physical distancing, community quarantine, and work from home. Of course, with our very generous partner, Regalo Touching Lives. Thank you, Mr. Carlos Iclevia. To all our attendees, fellow librarians, friends, good afternoon. I think Filipino librarians today are holding on the average 3 to 4 webinars per month. I was told by our PRBFL chair, Honorable Yolanda Granda, that our webinar activities are often mentioned in PRC meetings discussing continuing professional development. We can only be happy and proud with how our librarians are keeping themselves prepared, updated, and informed during this pandemic. Your theme, Librarians in Action, is a very strong statement of a proactive stance librarians are taking in the performance of their roles during this historic time. And your topics, going virtual, utilization of social media platform in times of pandemic, and surviving pandemic, library as mental and physical hub in the community are very relevant. The COVID-19 pandemic has been with us for about 5 months now, 169 days to be exact. Libraries around the world have faced hard choices on which services to offer and how, ranging from minimal restrictions to total closure. Philippine libraries were not exempted from the situation. And this has affected many librarians. At the start of the lockdown, I imagined a case of dormancy and that we should just wait for things to normalize in a few months. Then we continue with our old normal. But the normalcy that we were expecting did not happen and may not be happening even in the early months of next year. Librarians have to live in the new normal. Some would call it new reality. where our libraries face a new paradigm shift that instead of returning to normal, librarians will be returning to a new normal, one where I quote, in-person meetings and service interactions may be impossible or no longer preferred, and where collaborative study is shunned in favor of social and or physical distancing in buildings that can only safely house half of the people they used to. Librarians are pivoting quickly to new ways of offering services to the public, which is, by the way, the core of their mission. When libraries close their doors abruptly, they immediately open their digital communications, collaborations, and creative activity to reach their public in ways as novel as the virus that forced them into it. Libraries have always been trusted sources of information. To serve their publics, many are revising their websites and scaling up their social media for multiple purposes, bringing in more users and broadcasting the message of their diverse, digitally available holdings, posting timely, accurate, curated information, and offering up-to-date public service information or local efforts and issues like public advisories, health directives and requests, COVID-19 resources, etc. The pandemic has affected librarians and the library workforce, our workplaces, and our lives. We live in fear and uncertainty, especially for senior citizens like us. It was reported by at least two Fly regional councils that some of their librarians have lost their jobs, and some work on a no work, no pay arrangement. We are all affected by this crisis, both personally and professionally. I pray that all will be safe and healthy despite our difficult situation of coping with this unprecedented health crisis. Lastly, I quote R. David Blankes. Let's always bear in mind that as librarians, we are radical, positive change agents who choose to make a difference. Our mission is grounded in the history of libraries and librarianship. That is to improve society through facilitating knowledge creation in our communities. Throughout the history of humankind, libraries have played a vital role in society. We are principled professionals engaged with our communities in transformative social engagement. With that, I hope for the success of this webinar. Be safe, everyone.
Muchísimas gracias a todos, Ma'am Emma, for the good words. Indeed, this pandemic affected us librarians and our libraries. But this should not be the reason for us to feel worried and anxious. Let us all be reminded our vital role in today's society to give accurate and relevant information and prompt services to our library clientele. Again, maraming salamat po, Ma'am Emma. Ayan, before we proceed to the webinar proper, I would like to go over a few items so that you know how to participate in today's event. First is be courteous at all times so that everyone can benefit from the session. To ensure the smooth flow of the webinar, the speakers and the moderators' video and audio are on while the participants are muted. This webinar is recorded for documentation purposes and live streaming via YouTube. The chat box is available if you have any question. We will allot time for the Q&A after the discussion of the two speakers. If you are disconnected, please refresh your browser to reconnect. Avoid asking the presentation of the speakers while the session is ongoing. We will send it to your email as soon as it is available. No registration, no certificate. To receive an e-certificate, participants are required to attend at least 2 hours of this event and accomplish the evaluation form with the link provided in PIN code after the webinar session. Once you receive your e-certificate, please respect the signature. Do not share it as it is. Edit the signature part. Either you blurred it or hide the signature of the signatory. Okay naman po ba tayo sa house rules? O ayan, shoutout muna tayo sa ating mga participants. So as of this moment, we have a total of 158. And in the YouTube, we have 731 watching in our YouTube live streaming. So hi to Ma'am Lisel. Hi to Ma'am Prenil from CMU Bukidnon. And also, hi to Ma'am Emilina Rosales from MSU General Santos City. Hello, Ma'am. Ayan. Are you ready? Okay. Now, without further ado, I am very delighted to introduce to you our first speaker. He finished his bachelor's and master's degree in library in information science at the University of Santo Tomas. In 2017, he underwent training at the National Library of Korea and received a certificate for Korean language from Seoul National Library. Currently, he is enjoying his work as the head librarian of the Reference and Information Services section of Rizal Library of the Ateneo de Manila University. Let us all welcome Mr. Edward Vincent Guevarra, RLMLIS.
Yeah. Mike.
Sir Vince.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me now? Clear.
Sir, it's clear.
Hello, good afternoon. Maayong hapon po sa inyong lahat. Again, I'm Vince Guevarra. I'm the head reference librarian of the Rizal Library. My talk today is about utilization of social media platforms in the library in times of pandemic. Okay. The objectives, first, defining social media, different social media platforms, kung ano yung mga applicable dito sa atin, sa Pilipinas. And then, starting your social media. Saan ba kayo magsisimula kung wala pa kayong social media? And then, we pass by sa ALA social media guidelines. Next is use of social media during pandemic. Paano nyo ba siya may-utilize? Pwedeng library promotion, information dissemination, or two-way communication. And then lastly, challenges encountered by librarians. Yes, meron pong mga challenge na na-encounter yung librarians sa pag-handle ng social media. Hindi lang basta magpo-post or makaka-receive ng message. Merong mga challenges na ma-encounter kayo along the way. Before I start the talk, meron tayong poll dito. Sir Carlos, can we...
Sir.
Yeah. You have a poll here. Just a 2-question. Please answer it. First question is like, do you have a social media account? And then the second question is your library have a social media account? Okay.
So first question muna ako, sir.
Alright.
Hindi ko muna yung sagot nila.
Oh, okay. 99% have a social media account. Okay. Yeah. Mostly merong social media. Sir Carlos, may social media ka ba?
Meron, marami.
Si Sir Mark, meron ding social media yan. Facebook and Instagram.
Yes, sir. I'm very active with my social media account. Ang dami kong ginamanage na Facebook page, sir.
Oh, okay.
So second question.
So the second question is 81%. Yep. It's good number. 18%, 19% wala pang social media. Okay. Going up 20%. Okay. Then let's define what is social media. Okay, social media defined by Merriam-Webster as form of electronic communication website for social networking and microblogging. Pwede nyo rin siyang i-define as simple as media for social communication. Okay. User can access social media via readily available devices, mga desktop, laptop, smartphones, tablets, which is, as of right now, most of the students, meron sila. It's a must na meron sila for distance learning. Then, different social media platforms. Facebook, I think everyone merong Facebook. Ito yung pinaka, sa halos ng nakilala kong mga librarians, ang usual na meron silang social media is the Facebook. Ito yung, here's our social media, Rizal Library. Currently, we have 17,000 followers. Next is the Twitter. Okay? If you're going to ask me what is the difference between Twitter and Facebook, Facebook kasi, it was made for communicating with your friends and families. Okay? While Twitter was made for following latest trends, topics, or news. Kung mapapansin nyo, nung early stage ng Twitter, more on words lang siya or text. Tapos yung mga pictures is maliliit lang. Okay. Nauso din sa Twitter yung mga hashtag para mas madaling makapag-follow ng mga trending topic. Here's our Twitter account of Rizal Library, Rizal_Library. Currently, we have 11,000 followers. And then, nagkaroon tayo ng Instagram. Okay. Instagram is more on sharing your pictures. Kahit dati, kahit lang mag-share ka ng pictures, wala ng captions, madaming maka-view. Okay. But Instagram evolved, nagdagdag sila ng IG stories nila, na pwede rin kayong gumawa ng poll, katulad ng mga question kanina. Okay. Pwede kayong magtanong sa mga users ninyo kung ano yung gusto nilang book, or meron silang book recommendation. We created Instagram last year, so medyo mababa pa yung followers namin, nasa 626 followers, and we have 12 posts. Next is YouTube. Well, YouTube is like where you can share your video. Okay. Yes, we have a YouTube channel for the Rizal Library, it's Rizal_Library. We created this one, I think before the pandemic, 6 months ago, to share the videos, yung mga promotions ng mga live ng Rizal Library. Okay, and then during pandemic 4 months ago, we decided to air the Batang Rizal, which is a play which we produced. Okay. Yun nga, ang main objective namin is to share video and information. Okay. Hindi more on sa maging monetized ng YouTube. Okay. Yes, there's a possibility na pag lumaki yung followers ninyo or yung viewing, air view ninyo, pwede kayong ma-monetize. But I think thinking that is very list na or nasa last part na ng agenda ninyo sa paggawa ng YouTube channel. Now, the big question, is there a need for library to create a social media account? To help you to answer that, let me play a short video. Sir Carlos?
With social media sites being used by 1/3 of the entire world, they've clearly had a major influence on society.
Is, you know,
Sorry for the technical error. So we will resolve this.
With social media sites being used by 1/3 of the entire world, they've clearly had a major influence on society.
is, you know, the internet, you know, all that stuff that I don't use.
Social media. I guess it's the place for people to connect people from all over the world.
Yuta pwede mang connect.
All right. Thank you, Sir Carlos. So, as you can see, the numbers are staggering. How many views per month, how many views or video share per week or per month na inaabot na ng mga Facebook and YouTube. And if the politics can use it, if the education can use it, and the business people can use it to promote their products, why can't we use it in the library? You know, I mean, my work starts sa Rizal Library ng 7:30 hanggang 4:30, and then I arrive around mga 6 to 6:30. Yan. And then, as early as 6:30, nagpa-file up na yung mga student para waiting to mag-open yung library. And then, I'm puzzled kung anong ginagawa nila, and everyone is like typing on their tablets or looking at their cell phones. Then I went out and observed. Imagine at 6:30, most of them using their Facebook. And then I talked to some of the students. I asked them what they're doing in their Facebook. They told me like they're just communicating with their classmate kung ano yung mga assignment, or mag-message sila sa library kasi may itatanong sila kung merong materials tayo doon. So imagine at 6:30, if the students are using it, okay, it's one way to communicate with them. I'm pretty sure kayo din po, sa mga umaga pa lang nagpe-Facebook na kayo. I think I saw Sir Mark posting kaninang morning when he wake up. So one way na maganda siyang i-maximize ngayon, ngayong pandemic, is using social media. Next question is, how do you start your social media? Where do you start? First, you need to start mapping out your social media plan. Make your social media presence as part of an overall media communication. Hindi po pwedeng magpa-publish lang kayo sa Facebook and then iba yung lalabas sa website ninyo. Or ilalagay nyo sa website, hindi lalabas sa Facebook. You should consider pare-parehas yung lumalabas ninyo pati sa brochure ninyo. Source of content. Ano ba yung mga ilalagay ninyo sa content? Kayo ba yung gagawa ng content? Or mag-share lang kayo from newsletter of the university? Or mag-share lang kayo ng ibang topic coming from different account? Okay? Kind of content. Okay? Are you going to use video? So you need to use YouTube? Are you going to use more type of pictures? So you're leaning toward the Instagram? Or you wanted to talk more to the student? Start a topic and then you're leaning towards the Twitter. And then when the content comes out, this is very important. You should plan kung ano or kailan lalabas. Is it daily basis, every day? Pag maglalabas ba kayo ng announcement, if holiday, i-close ang library, paano po ba? A day before, a week before, you should be consistent sa mga nilalabas ninyong announcement or postings. Next is choosing a social media channel. Ito sobrang importante nito. It doesn't mean na applicable sa akin sa Rizal Library yung Facebook and Twitter, applicable na rin sa inyo. For example, yung Sarawak State Library, okay, yung Instagram nila, nasa around 2,000 na yung followers. And for us, sa Rizal Library, nasa 600 pa lang. Okay. Meron ding sa amin, yung Facebook namin, nasa 17,000 na yung followers namin. For the National Library of Korea, mababa pa lang yung followers nila. It depends. You should know kung ano yung mas bebenta sa library ninyo or mas tatanggapin ng mga estudyante ninyo. Okay? Management and security. Use university email. Okay? In creating an account, you should use the official library email. Okay? Hindi pwedeng personal account ninyo. Why? Because, for example, if you transfer to other section, madadama yung account ninyo. Or if you resign, mawawala yung media account, yung social media account. Okay? Isa pang reason is, for example, sa Twitter. Sa Twitter po kasi wala pong fan page or special account. More on isang account lang siya. Personal account lang siya. So, for example, 4 kayong nag-handle. So, 4 mag-access dun sa Twitter. Imagine if you're using your personal email account, malalaman nung 4 na nag-handle yung email account niyo, pati yung password niyo. Of course, choose strong password para hindi kayo ma-hack. And try to use 2-step verification. Kaso lang sa 2-step verification, merong pros and cons yan. Well, 2-step is mahirap ma-hack. Yun yung pros niya. Yung cons niya is somehow, if you're trying to log in a different computer and if you put the verification sa cellphone, kaya cellphone ko yung may verification and the other librarians access it, kailangan pa nila akong i-check or kailangan ko pa silang tawagan, kayo ba yung nag-access ng account na to? Or kung hindi nila ako na-inform, hindi ko na-confirm, hindi sila makaka-access sa Twitter. Okay. Next is identification. Naming your account. Clearly identify your library. For us, we chose na buong pangalan, Rizal Library. Merong mga library na gumagamit ng acronyms lang kasi mas yun yung kilala ng mga user nila. Then, profile and background photos. Ensure you have a permission to use the photo. If hindi sa inyo manggagaling yung pictures or yung poster, you should ask permission. There are library accounts using the official logo of the university. You need ask a permission kasi branding po yan. Hindi nyo basta-basta pwedeng ilagay. Baka mamaya meron requirements yung university sa paglagay ng mga logo nila. Siyempre, upload high-resolution image. Okay? As much as possible, upload high-resolution image. Don't worry kasi si Facebook mag-a-adjust mismo ng requirements nila. Ngayon, pag mas bababa yung nilagay ninyo, mas malabo. Or pag naglagay kayo ng mababa, magiging distorted pag nag-stretch out. Okay? Be mindful of the shape and size. Hindi po pare-parehas ang sizes ng mga pictures or ng mga posters sa bawat social media account. We had it, meron kaming naging encounter na problem dito. For example, we make a poster for Facebook and then hindi siya applicable yung size para sa Instagram. Or we make a poster for website pero hindi siya applicable sa Facebook. Iba rin yung size ng poster para sa web banner or sa Facebook banner. Okay. Next is content. Siyempre po, librarian tayo, no to fake news. Lagi natin iingatan kung ano yung sinishare natin na content or information sa mga user natin. Most probably, if us, kung tayo nanggaling sa atin yung information, iisipin ng mga estudyante, ng mga user natin, it's not a fake news. So be careful on sharing the fake news. Be careful in sharing the articles or information. Inspiring. Times like this during COVID, you should select kung ano yung ipopost niyo. We share different stories. We can share different stories. But please share an uplifting sa mga mababasa or mga user natin. And then, necessary. Is it necessary to post this poster? Times like this, you receive a lot of webinars coming from different parties, coming from different providers. Okay? Pero, kailangan nyo ba talagang i-share lahat ng ito? Okay? Baka mamaya, hindi naman ukma or necessary or na-align sa mga user ninyo. Okay? You should think kung ano po yung dapat nyong i-share. Okay, ALA social media guidelines. First is the audience. Okay, identify your audience or stakeholders. Okay. Ilang taon ba? Nakakagamit ba sila ng social media? Baka mamaya ang audience niyo, you're working in school library, grade 1, grade 2. So technically hindi sila applicable sa social media ng Facebook and Twitter. Okay. In academic setting, library audience may be limited to university faculty, students, staff, administrator, and alumni. Yes, it can be limited. Pero along the way, makaka-encounter kayo ng nagme-message mga researcher. Mga researcher coming from the Philippines. At the same time, may mga mag-i-inquire din kayo coming from different countries. Okay. Next is staff responsibility. Social media accounts serve as the digital face of the library and should maintain the same level of customer service provided in the physical library. Okay? So, sino ba yung mag-handle ng social media account ninyo? Reference section ba? Or you're going to create a special section handling the communication? Okay? Circulation ba? For us, sa Rizal Library, ang nag-handle po ng social media namin is the reference section, yung section po namin. Other library like National Library of Korea, meron silang international communication na nag-handle ng buong social media nila. It's up to you kung ano po yung gagamitin ninyo or kung sino yung mag-handle ng social media. Be sure lang na medyo techy yung gagamit ng social media ninyo, okay? And aware sa mga latest trending topic. Next, reconsideration. Social media policy should provide recourse for individual to express complaints and concern. Having a social media account, hindi lang po puro positive comments yung makukuha ninyo. Like you have a beautiful library or puro heart shape or thumbs up or smiley yung makukuha ninyong comments. Okay? Meron din po kayong makukuhang comments like this. Was denied entrance in the Rizal Library. Annoying guards and even more annoying dress code. Meron din pong ganito. Fact, I never been to the Rizal Library because the dress code and my wardrobe don't quite match up. You need to learn how to handle that type of postings or tweet. Okay? Once they tweet it, you cannot erase it or you can ask the person to just erase it. Okay? You need to handle it well. Either you talk to them, DMs, or tweet them, or ask them for an email so you can talk. At the same time, you also can take it as a positive way. Now, maybe you need to look on your manuals what to improve. Okay? We never considered it as a negative. Okay? Hence, naghahanap kami, siguro talagang dapat namin i-improve yung dress code for the library. Next is acceptable behavior. Libraries should clearly state their social media behavior policy on all their social media platforms. You should identify kung what type of way of communication yung gagamitin ninyo sa social media ninyo. Dapat ba formal communication or pwede kayong informal communication? In our social media, gumagamit kami ng informal because we don't want the student na maramdaman nila na parang operator yung sumasagot sa kanila. We wanted na to feel na ang kausap talaga nila is tao and librarian yung kausap nila. So yes, we answered them. Kung Tagalog namin sila sasagutin. Kung English. If they're nakikipagbiruan sila, makikipagbiruan din kami sa kanila. In all kind of communication, private message, DM message, tweet, or postings, we do that. We do like informal. Next, consequences. Library should clearly state the consequence for the posts that do not meet the library social media policy. Okay. Meron kayong marireceive aside sa negative comments. Meron kayong marireceive na somehow below the belt comments or like malicious comments. I think we received about 2 months ago, or no, before COVID, a guy asking, nag-message po sila sa amin na PM, bakit walang pogi sa Ateneo? And he sent several pictures. Okay? At first, hindi namin sila pinansin. But what caught our attention is like he keeps on sending pictures. Okay? And then we try to block it. I mean, we consult kung kailangan bang sagutin or kailangan i-block. When we block the account, he message us again. Okay? So yung mga ganong type of queries or mga messages, you need to know how to handle and identify kung ano yung dapat ninyong sagutin or hindi na katanggap-tanggap sa mga social media ng library. Next, disclaimer. Okay? Library should state the comments expressed on any social media platform do not reflect the view or position of the library. You need to have a disclaimer, especially if you're going to host a live interview and a debate or opening a topic. Para if along the way something went south, hindi naging okay yung conversation, may babalikan kayo ng disclaimer. Okay. Next, privacy. Library staff should make a good faith effort to understand the privacy practices of social media platforms. Okay? Yung mga nagme-message sa inyo sa private message to ask question, dapat sa inyo lang yan, hindi nyo i-disclose sa iba. Okay? Including the DMs, unless meron silang approval. Okay? Next, use of social media during pandemic. You can have library promotions, information dissemination, and two-way communication. yeah, you can post a poster like this. For example, yan, this poster is how to access online databases. And then the second poster, I think we released it sa Instagram last year about welcoming the student. And then of course, if you have a team, like this month, August, buwan ng wika, or for example, pag pumalo na yung Christmas season, pwede kayong mag-post ng mga katulad nito, bugtong, or other pakulo or event para ma-caught yung attention ng mga user and let them know na nandyan kayo and visible kayo kahit na time ng pandemic. Or yung promotion hindi lang po nanggagaling sa atin or sa mga pinopost natin. Okay? Pwede rin tayong makiride sa trending topic. For example, this one, nagte-trend siya since last year. Hashtag tips for Ateneo Freshies. Okay? Yan yung mga comment or tweet ng mga student, like mga sophomores, mga juniors, mga seniors for the freshmen. Okay? Ano yung pwedeng gawin nila? Entirely in the university in Ateneo. Okay? Nadadamay din or nasasama din yung library. For example, library is your best friend. Okay? And this one, and then this one, yeah. These are their graphic novels in the Rizal Library. Okay. This one is funny, like hashtag T for Ateneo Freshies. Sulitin nyo ang live. Laki ng bayad mo doon. Okay. Dapat ang lalabas doon is like aral, basa, or tulog. Meron ding landi. Okay. Imagine promotions or advice coming from your students or from the user itself helping you to promote the library, diba? By use of social media. Next, information dissemination. Okay? Pwede kayong post ng mga advisories, not only advisory for the library, but also advisory for the university. Okay? Or share articles na makakatulong sa pagre-research ng mga estudyante ninyo. Pwede nyo rin siyang gamitin na two-way communication. This one is adopted from Shannon Weaver model of communication. Okay? I use it sa thesis ko, sa research ko. It starts from the student and then mag-encode sila using the laptop or the tablets. Mga questions nila, marireceive ng Facebook, ng Twitter, or ng social media. And then, papasok sa desktop ninyo sa bahay, mababasa ng mga library professional. And then, they're going to answer the feedback, going back to the student. In the middle, may makita kayong noise. Ano yung noise? Noise is the disturbance ng travel ng message from students to the librarian. Okay? Ano yung mga noise na pwede nating i-consider? First is the way they communicate. Minsan, baka sobrang kulang yung vowel na ginagamit nila or short messages yung ginagamit nila. Okay? Or minsan, mga sobrang or using acronyms, LOA, laughing out loud, do we still understand that? Or minsan, mabagal yung internet nila, may mga follow-up questions, hindi kagad nasasend. But if we encounter that type of problems, we can easily ask back and clear things sa mga user natin kung ano ba talaga yung ibig sabihin nila or gusto nilang itanong sa atin. For example, this one, conversation, we're following up kung na-access niya ba yung online databases because he's asking kung paano mag-access ng database. Okay? We can do follow-ups as well. And then again, about the online databases, we asked them if he's referring sa online databases or sa OPAC ba. Because of this mode of communication, we can ask everything or clear things for the student, lalo na synchronous or live chat siya. Challenges encountered by the librarian. First, receiving queries of after office hours. This is the common problem na na-encounter namin. Kasi, yun nga, 7:30 to 9:30 yung talagang office hours or library hours ng Rizal Library. But again, we receive messages mga around 12 midnight, 1 a.m. Yung mga students na nag-aaral or gumagawa ng thesis research nila midnight. Okay. Ang susunod na problema is urgency to respond. So, kailangan mo ba talaga siyang replyan at 1 a.m.? Or, for example, during holiday, you're having a lunch with your family. Do you need to reply? Sa amin, ang pinaka-rule namin, all message should be answered during office hours. And then, pag lumagpas na siya, we need to answer it the next working day. But, dahil nga, I'm a regular user of social media and some of the librarians na nag-handle din ng social media, kahit outside office hours, nasasagot na rin namin yung messages nila. Especially if we feel like na kailangan talaga yung tulong namin or kailangan nila ng sagot kagad ng mga estudyante, we try to answer. For example, after eating lunch, nag-dessert, nagpapahinga, nag-a-alarm yung phone ko, why can't answer it? Bakit hindi ko sagutin? Okay. You can select kung ano yung sasagutin mo during pag wala sa office hours or holiday. Okay. Next is timing of the post. This is very important din. Hindi pwedeng every 5 minutes magpo-post kayo. The reason is probably hindi mababasa yan ng mga estudyante. Especially sa tweets, ang bilis lumabas nun. Hindi pwedeng maya yung posting ninyo. Dapat you should schedule. You should analyze kung ano yung mas importante, kung ano yung pwedeng gabi, or ano yung dapat sa umaga pa lang i-announce nyo na. Okay. For us, on our experience, usually nag-a-announce kami pag Sunday, 9 p.m. Usually din, marami kaming nare-receive na message ng Sunday din. The reason is, yung mga student na minsan may nakalimutan na assignment, or minsan yung mga nagka-cram ng student na, oh, Sunday na, Monday na bukas, meron pa akong hindi nagagawa. Or yung mga student na they just want to check, baka meron silang nakalimutan. Nadadaanan yan ng mga estudyante. Number 4, keeping up with the trending issue or topic. Ito medyo problema. Okay? Katulad ko, I'm turning 31 next year. And then what if yung user ninyo is nasa around 17, 18, okay? And merong mga topic na trending issue, sometimes hindi nyo na rin masabayan. For example, kung mag-message sa akin, "Sir, do you have a copy of Chloe?" Okay. I was like thinking, ano ba yung Chloe? Okay. Like I asked the librarians, ano yung Chloe? Oh sir, ano yan? Crash landing on you. So yung mga ganong trending issue or trending topic na pwede ninyong sakyan na dapat na alam ninyo once na tinanong kayo ng mga users ninyo. Okay. About how to measure the success of the social media or the post itself, I can show you different numbers like 49,000 impressions or engagements na 4,000, or I can show you higher than that. But I think yung pinakamagandang measurement, if every time you receive something like this, I love you, Rizal Library. ILY Rizal Library. Okay. I love you, Rizal Library. You always be my home away from home. Or something like this. Salamat, Rizal Library, dahil ikaw ang naging tahanan ko sa 4 kong taon sa Ateneo. Mabuhay po kayo. Okay. It means that you touch their life during their stay in Ateneo. Hindi lang solely for social media, pwede rin sa ibang services ninyo. But because of this one, napapakita nila kung ano yung importance na ginawa ninyo. This one is a good measurement kung okay ba yung social media ninyo. This one came out, USEC, about, well, recently, I think a month ago or 2. about kung bakit merong library fee during pandemic. Okay? After lumabas po ito, yung mga private message namin, DM namin, isa-isa pumapasok, bakit may library fee, bakit ang mahal ng library fee. We try to answer it every message. Okay? We try to address it. Kung merong mga platforms na talk within the parents, yes, sumasagot din po kami kung bakit may library fee. Pero ang nakakatuwa is sa isang wall or isang group like Admo Freedom Wall, may nag-post na estudyante defending the library kung bakit merong library fee. I don't think we should hate on RL for expensive library fee when they actually still do need to manage library resources. Imagine a student, pinagtatanggol nila kayo or answering the issue for you. And a student reading it from student din, mas mauunawaan nila. Okay? Or mas mapapadali sa atin yung pag-i-explain kung bakit merong library fee. And yan, kung maa-receive kayo ng Rizal Library will never let you down. Or your library will never let you down. Now, kung tatanungin niyo po ako, kailangan ba natin or magagamit natin ang social media sa library, iwanan ko po kayo ng ganito, ang Rizal Library or yung library ninyo ay parang pag-ibig, pwedeng long distance. Maraming salamat po. Library, iwanan ko po kayo ng ganito, ang Rizal Library or yung library ninyo ay parang pwedeng long distance. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Vince, for the very informative and timely discussion on social media. So gusto ko yung katagang yung last slide mo, sir, na ang library, ang isang library ay parang pag-ibig, pwedeng long distance, o diba, makaka-relate naman talaga tayo ngayon, yung mga techies, mga librarians. I know surely our participants learn a lot from your topic and they can apply in their own library. Sorry for the technical glitch. Thank you so much, Sir Vince, for a very informative and timely discussion. Surely, our participants learn a lot from your topic and they can apply it in their own library. Yes, sir, I know our participants have their own Facebook or social media account. Kasi di ba sa sitwasyon natin ngayon, we should be visible to our library clienteles. So if you have questions regarding the topic of surveys, just key in the chat box your questions and later on we will answer all your queries. So game naman po ba kayo sa mga questions ng mga participants natin surveys?
I'm happy to answer every question.
And later on we will answer all your queries. So game naman po ba kayo sa mga questions ng mga participants natin surveys? Okay, game na game po si Sir Vince to cater all your questions. So, sir, see you in a while. And again, thank you so much. Okay pa po ba tayong lahat? Ayan, I know we are all bombarded with the new information on how we can maximize to use our social media in order to reach our library users in this prime time. Me, in my experience as a campus librarian of GRMS in Baluca, actually, I'm handling, I think, 6 library pages with 5 campuses of JRMSU, and I also managing the Facebook page of Zamboanga Peninsula region. Imagine how busy I am sa update ng mga Facebook account ng aming mga libraries. So before we proceed to the second topic,
Sir Mark, keep on off ng mic.
O ayan, so okay pa po ba tayong lahat? I know we are all bombarded with the new information on how we can use our social media in order to reach our library users in this trying time. Before we proceed to our second speaker, I just want to shout out sa ating participants. So we have one participant from Myanmar. So thank you for tuning with us, ma'am. And we also have one participant from United Arab Emirates in the person of Miss Grace Abergos Rico. Ma'am, thank you so much from British University. Ayan, Dubai. Imagine, hindi lang po sa Pilipinas tayo ngayon, kundi meron po tayong mga international participants. So, and now, let's proceed to the second topic. I am pleased to introduce to you our second speaker for this afternoon. She is currently a registered guidance of the College Guidance and Counseling Office of Ateneo de Zamboanga University, and a faculty member of the School of Liberal Arts of the same institution. She has been the director of the College Guidance and Counseling Office from April 2013 to May 2020, and director and coordinator of Center for Testing and Measurement of the same institution from 2003 to 2012. She is the immediate past Vice President and President and Officer of the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association Zamboanga City Chapter. She finished her BS degree from Western Mindanao University. She received her 2 MA degrees from De La Salle University, Manila, Master in Educational Measurement and Evaluation, and Ateneo de Zamboanga University, Master of Arts in Guidance and Counseling, respectively. She passed the licensure examination for guidance counselor in 2012 in place number 10. She currently pursues her PhD in psychology at Ateneo de Zamboanga University. She has been giving trainings and seminars on well-being, personality development, stress management, mindfulness, resilience building, and other topics for team building and organizational development. Her research interests include positive psychology, hope intervention per student, flourishing in schools, resiliency, and mental health. She has published research articles in the Guidance Journal. Please help me welcoming Ms. Norma A. Baluca, RGC, LPT, PhD candidate.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello, Mark. Thank you for the kind welcome. Also, before I start, I would like to extend my appreciation and gratitude to the Philippine Librarians Association Incorporated, Zamboanga Peninsula Region, Regalo, Touching Lives, and a special shout out to my friend, Ma'am Lini Kalingasyon, for inviting me to be with you this afternoon. Okay, so before I start, I would like to ask our dear participants for this live webinar this afternoon. Okay, now I want you to give your answers in the chat box if that is okay with you. I want you to answer the question, what exciting thing that you did last week, or what exciting experience that happened to you in the past week? Now explain this experience in one word, okay? Now you may do it you may answer my question in the chat box now. Okay. Good afternoon, Sir John. I can see your responses now. Awesome. Techie.
Yes, from Sir Jolo, ma'am, techie po, sabi niya.
Yeah, techie, sabi niya. Uplifting, amazing. Okay. Okay. Ang dami. Salamat. Now, the chat box is flooding with your responses. So I am now sure that you are awake and you are with me this afternoon. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now let's proceed to my topic. Okay, we are all aware that these times, no, are extraordinary times during this pandemic, no. According to experts, there are about 4 billion people who are living in social isolation during this mother of all pandemic. Now, unless there is a revolt, policies of social isolation in one form or another are expected to continue until a vaccine is available. Maybe 6 months, 12 months, but some says 3 years from now. Yan. So you can see from the screen some photos, no, from the consequence or what is happening, the situation in our country and even around the world because of this pandemic. Now, this pandemic is receiving intensive interest at all levels: political, economic, social, scientific, and even in the healthcare as well. I think you heard of the word VUCA, V-U-C-A, no? VUCA means volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. This was coined in the 1990s by the military to describe the ever-shifting geopolitical landscape in which it had to operate. Now, experts nowadays, they describe our world to be VUCA or VUCA, one that is in volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Now, some research studies show that experts say that stress, anxiety, depression are on the rise. In fact, I would like to share with you what we did during this pandemic, no? Nung kasagsagan ng pandemic, the Ateneo de Zamboanga University counselors came together and we conducted the Ketal 2 program. No, we called it the Ketal 2 program. We offered psychological first aid, online telecounseling to members of the community and even friends of the Ateneo, no? So in my case, I even reached out to some clients as far as Cavite, Cebu, so Luzon and the Visayas. So that's how we tried to help during this pandemic, because one observation is that really people experience anxiety and stress and even depression during this time. So yan. So I think if I'm going to ask you, how many of you here are working from home like me? You can answer with yes or no in the chat box. Who among you here are working from home or on doing remote services for your school, for your offices, for your library, for your work? Yeah. So some are working from home, some are reporting to their workplace, and maybe some are on skeletal workforce, no? For some days, they report to the office or to their workplace, and the others, and for other days, they stay at home and do their work at home. Yan. So I think many of us can really relate, no, to what is happening, especially this work from home. I call it work from home syndrome. Work from home syndrome, because you start your day, sometimes you start 6 a.m. and then for all you know, it's already late in the evening, you are still working. Okay, now, yeah, that is one of the challenges, yes. Now, the sudden change in people's day-to-day lives, no, as we mentioned, brought about by this pandemic, especially financial, with some businesses closing down, holding smaller capacity, doing retrenchment. So many people are really experiencing difficulties, stress, anxiety. Like, for example, the question of how will I take care of the financial needs of my family? How will I be able to provide? How will I manage my time? Now that I'm doing office work, now you can see from your screen, it says there, the lockdown generation. So we are part of the lockdown generation. And we are really, if you notice, research show that many of our young workers are the biggest part of this, or are experiencing the consequences. So yon. Now working mothers also, this study was conducted in the US actually, but I think this is also applicable even in our own setting. Working mothers do bulk of childcare. I think I have 3 kids, no? I have a senior high school, a junior high school, and a kindergarten. So I have 3 kids, and I know some of you can relate with me. So you are taking care of the kids at the same time you are trying to do your work. So sometimes you realize, oh no, it's lunchtime. I need to prepare for lunch, and you have to let go of whatever office work you are doing. So these are the dilemma. These are the situations that many of us, or if not all of us, most of us are experiencing right now. Okay, now let's continue. So yan. Now because of this situation that we are in, no, some of us might be asking, how am I going to motivate myself? How will I be able to manage my stress? Because some people may experience stress, or it may be in different levels. Some may experience it moderately, and others might experience it extremely. And that is where later I want to share some practical skills with you that is also being implemented by the World Health Organization during this time of pandemic. Now, like this picture, let me just read to you what the person in this picture said, no, about work from home. So her name is Jane, no? So Jane said, I find it so hard to work. So she is a marketing account manager. She said, due to the COVID-19 lockdown, she's working from home for the first time. Like many of us did this work from home for the first time. My brain tells me this is home and not the office. And so I act accordingly, finding so many reasons not to work. I also miss my colleagues, and my brain is fogged by worries about the future. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow friends, librarians out there, does this sound familiar to you? Okay, sige. Now, this sudden change in our day-to-day lives brought about by this pandemic can really bring up about worries and different consequences or problems or concerns that would lead us to feel stress. Yan. So moving on to our next slide. Yan. So it says there, but the question is, okay, by the way, I want you to answer my poll. Okay. Sir, can we have our poll up now? Okay. So the question is, how do you describe your situation now? How do you describe your situation now? A, I am learning how to cope. B, I need help. And letter C, I am thriving. I am thriving. Okay, we'll see ano yung pulso ng ating mga audience ngayon. Karamihan po, they are learning how to cope. Okay, so there are 87% who said, 86% who said that they are learning how to cope. And 2% said, I need help. And 11% of our audience here said they are thriving. Okay, thank you so much for answering. Okay, so it's okay. If you are now on that learning stage, it's okay. That is reality, and that is normal. That is normal. So you see, many of us are learning. Many of us are finding our way. Many of us are trying to navigate. How do we go about our day-to-day lives? How do we go about our day-to-day activities in the midst of this pandemic? So if we are going to relate that to your work in the library, how are you going to continue to serve your purpose as librarians to your patrons, to your community, to the community that you serve? Okay. Thank you so much for your answer. Ayun, introduction pa lang po yun. Now we go to our content synopsis or summary of my presentation this afternoon. Are you still with me, ladies and gentlemen? Can I see an exclamation point if you are learning or you are still with me? Kindly type in the chat box exclamation point if you are still with me or you are learning something from this webinar this afternoon. Yan! Bumabaha po ng exclamation point sa chat box. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, my dear audience, for participating. Now, I am happy to know that you are all awake and you are still with me. Okay, now let's continue. Now, as I have mentioned here in my slide for this part, we are going to talk about the importance of mental health. Okay, so what is really mental health and what is it that we need to do? Okay, so I'm going to walk you through some practical skills. As I have mentioned earlier, this is not mine. I'm not the author of these skills. This was provided or also published by the World Health Organization. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through these practical skills on how to manage stress and how to stay sane during this social isolation. And of course, some tips on how to, for our librarians here to provide, providing their making the library as an avenue for mental and physical hub. Okay, now let's proceed. Okay. Now, you can see here, as I mentioned earlier, we will be talking about mental health. And what are the things that can affect our mental health? So, kanina sinabi ko, stress, anxiety, depression, no, these things are on the rise, especially for our young generation. And we all know that our students can be really vulnerable to this stress or anxiety. Sige. So, it says there, if you are experiencing stress right now or maybe sometime at some point in your life, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that you are not alone. You are not alone. That is normal, okay? But let me see let me walk you through what are the causes of stress. Yan. So, stress can be due to major threats. One is family violence. Family violence. It can also be due to illness, no? Now, we are more stressed, especially nowadays that we fear. We are afraid that if we go out of in the comfort of our homes, if we go out to work, we might experience or we might be exposed to the virus. So that is one of our fear, illness. And that can lead us to feel stress. For our students, because they don't go to school, no school for now, okay, so they stay at home. So our kids might also feel stress because no one is really prepared for this, no? Even we ourselves, parents, librarians, teachers, counselors, everyone, even our leaders, no one is prepared. So no school. So how to go about it? So this could also be possibility that can cause our children or students to feel stress. Another is also problems providing for the family, financial resources, where to get, especially if the breadwinner is not working anymore because of this pandemic. So yon. Another is displaced from home. If you see the situations of our LSI, locally stranded individuals, they cannot go home. They are stranded. They are stuck in one place, outside the airport, anywhere. No, in many areas in Metro Manila, for example, even here in Mindanao, here in Zamboanga City. So we have people who are experiencing displacement from home, and this could also lead to stress. Violence in our community, this can also be another reason for feeling stress. Arguments with the family, uncertainty about the future. Earlier, I mentioned about VUCA, volatility, uncertainty. So we do not know what will happen. No one can answer us. No one can give the concrete answer about when will this pandemic end? Until when will people will be quarantined at home? Until when will be this new normal? When will this stop? When will this thing stop? So uncertainty, that can lead us to stress. Now I have another question, and I want our poll to be up right now. The question is, after describing after discussing the causes of stress, now I want you to answer, do you think stress is always bad? Okay? Ayan. So the answer is yes or no, maybe. So, okay, 42%, okay, almost half of the audience said yes, stress is always bad. 35% said, or 33% said no, it may not be bad at all, or maybe. So, meron tayong mga friends dito na hindi sila sigurado if stress is always bad or not. Okay, so what do you think is the answer?
Ma'am, meron din pong sumagot sa YouTube live streaming.
Okay, ano ang hindi ko nakikita yung sa YouTube, Mark,
So,
please?
may sumagot na yes, not all the time, maybe po. So, yun ang mga sagot sa YouTube.
Okay, okay. Sige. So, not all the time, maybe. Okay, sige. Now, we'll see. Now, everyone experiences stress at times, okay? But a little bit of stress is not a problem. In fact, there are what you call positive stress or eustress, okay? So, pag sinabihan ka bang nanalo ka sa loto, masa-stress ka ba? Nanalo ka ng 200 billion sa loto. Masa-stress ka. Hindi mo alam anong gagawin mo. Pero that is positive. Tuwang-tuwa ka. Hindi siya negative. Okay? So, hindi po lahat ng stress masama. Sometimes, we need a little bit of stress. For example, our kids, our children, how will they learn if they don't feel a little anxiety or a little bit of stress? If they are too relaxed, they will say, that's okay, anyway, online learning naman ngayon, anyway, my teacher will understand, so hindi ako mag-attend ng online class, so I will tell my teacher that I have a connectivity issue, etc., etc., because the student is so relaxed, hindi siya stress. Okay? Walang maliit na level or low level of stress. That is not good for the person also. So, a little bit of stress is also important. But, there's a but there. Very high stress often affects the body. Many people get unpleasant feelings, okay? How about you? If you feel stressed, ano yung mga nararamdaman nyo? You can type it on the chat box, my dear audience. Do you experience these things? Headaches, not feeling hungry. You even skip a meal, but you don't feel hungry at all. Neck and shoulder pain, lump in the throat, back pain, heaviness in the chest, upset stomach, tight muscles. Yan. Sige. Fatigue. Okay. Okay. Sabi ng audience natin, irritable. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Not feeling hungry. Restless. Okay. So these things could be symptoms of stress. No, if you are stressed, you feel these things. No, yung bang parang you lost your focus or your concentration. Now, the next question is, how do we manage that? Or how do we deal with that? Because we have said that it's part of life. We cannot get rid of it. And that is also needed. Okay? Now, let's move on. Yan. So, some people, when they are stressed, they cannot focus. They get angry easily, cannot sit still, have difficulty sleeping, feel sad or guilty. They worry, they cry, feel very tired. Like some of you here, they cannot sleep. Yan. Many of you are answering, suddenly cries. Ang cause daw ng stress is money. Okay, so maraming stressor po sa mundo. Only po yung list. Yan, sige. So, many of us think about bad things from the past or bad things we fear in the future. And this could lead us to feel stress. Yan. So, you see, when you feel stress, you have certain thoughts and feelings. Certain thoughts and feelings. Because you will not feel stress, yung bang wala kang iniisip na stress ka na lang bigla out of nowhere. That cannot be. So it should be coming from a certain thought or a certain feeling. Thoughts and feelings. Okay? So yon. So thoughts and feelings, my dear audience, are natural part of stress. Natural part of stress. But the problem is, it can happen when we get hooked. Hooked. Alam nyo yung hook? Okay? By them. So whatever are those thoughts and feelings that are running in your mind, and when you get hooked by them, that's the time that you have a problem. Okay. Now, there are many types of hook. Okay. So, you see in the figure or in the slide. So, saan kayo dyan? When something is on a hook, it cannot get away. That hook traps it. In the same way, we can get hooked by our difficult thoughts and feelings. So you are in a certain kind of trap. Hindi ka makaalis. Now, at some point, you might be playing with the children. At some point or at the next moment, you might be hooked by these difficult thoughts and feelings. One moment, you are enjoying a meal. You're sharing a meal with a friend or a loved one. And the next moment, you might be hooked by angry thoughts and feelings. And you feel as if you are being pulled away by anger, even if you are still there. Can you relate, my dear audience? Yung bang parang you're doing something and then all of a sudden, you lost your focus, and then you forget what you're doing, and you're already hooked by that thought or by that feeling. Please type an exclamation point on the chat box if you have this experience, my dear audience. Being hooked. Wag naman ma-hook sa sa mga thoughts and feelings, yung mga past love life, okay? Wag lang yon. Mahirap ma-hook po doon sa mga reasons na those reasons that gave us broken heart, o di ba? That broke our heart in the past. So, actually, that can be also, my dear audience. So, I'm talking about general thoughts and feelings. Pwedeng finances, pwedeng children, fear about the future, health, anything that can hook you, okay? So, again, if you have experienced those thoughts and feelings, those are normal. That is normal. Yan. But, the next question is, how to unhook? How to get rid? Not really get rid, but how to move on, no? With your life, even if you are still hooked with that thought or with that kind of feeling. Now, difficult thoughts and feelings hook us and pull us away from our values. Some of you mentioned here earlier in the chat box, you said that when you feel stressed, you feel tired. When you feel stressed, you feel irritable. Now, when you feel irritable and then your son, your amazing son, your lovely son or daughter will come to you and ask you to help him or her in his or her homework now that they are homeschooled, and you were so irritable, and then you told your son or daughter, "Excuse me, I don't have time for you. Can you please just ask your yaya or ask your big brother or sister or your father? I don't have time right now because I'm so busy. I'm so tired." You were so irritable. You were so focused with your thoughts and feelings. You were hooked. And then all of a sudden, you forgot your value. Your value may be of being caring, of being wanting to be caring, of wanting to be kind, of wanting to be generous to your son or daughter, or to a student maybe who comes to you for help. Because you are hooked by that thought and feeling. So you see, you are pulled away, no? These thoughts and feelings, as I've said earlier, it's not bad, but they will pull you away from your values. Okay? Now, values are your deepest desires for the sort of person you want to be. I believe everyone here wanted to be kind, wanted to be generous, as much as possible to be responsible, to be loving. Okay, can you please type exclamation point on the chat box if you agree with me, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, now I see some exclamation point. Thank you for your responses. So you see, now we move on to the next. Yan. So if you have responsibilities, caring for others, what kind of person do you want to be? As a librarian, what kind of person do you want to be? As a teacher, as a counselor, as a mother, as a father, as a technical person, as an administrator, what kind of person do you want to be? So you see, you can even think of the values that you want to be. These are, I listed down some values here. Loving, you want to be wise, you want to be committed, persistent, responsible, calm, caring, protective, courageous. So you see, values describe the sort of person you want to treat yourself and others and the world around you. By simply joining this seminar or this webinar, I believe you are acting on your values, right? Right? An exclamation point, please. Can I see some exclamation point in the chat box? You are not here because you were forced by your boss. You're not attending this webinar because somebody told you to do so. Or maybe you are my friend and I asked you to be here. O, diba? Sa mga friends ko dyan, alam ko nandyan sila. Marami pong salamat. Shout out sa mga friends ko. Sige. So yun.
Marami ding exclamation points sa YouTube, ma'am.
Sa YouTube. Yeah, thank you so much.
They are very active in YouTube also.
Yeah, thank you so much to our dear audience also in YouTube. Thank you for responding. I know all of you, no, feel and think and you want, these are your goals, no, to be kind, to be loving, and you have your values. I may not be listing them down here. So you see, values describe the sort of person you want to treat yourself, no? No, by joining this seminar, as I have said, you want to act on that value or values. You want to learn. You want to be a better person, to be a better version of yourself so that you can better serve others. You can better serve your clients. Okay? Now, going back to that stressful situation. In stressful situations, ladies and gentlemen, difficult thoughts and feelings hook us, no? As I've said earlier, and we are pulled away from our values. Minsan, nakakalimutan natin ano yung values natin because we are focused on that difficult thought and feelings. So, how do we address that? How do we move on from these difficult thoughts and feelings? You might be thinking, some irrational thought. No, in counseling, we call it irrational thought, faulty cognition, because in my experience as a counselor for the past 7 or 8 years, students or client will come to me telling me, Ma'am, I think I cannot pass the board exam. I think I cannot make it to the final exam. I think I cannot make it to my graduation because I'm not good enough. Kasi po, bobo po ako. Kasi po, hindi ko po ito kaya. I think I am a failure. This is the end of the world. Maybe during this pandemic, we could be thinking about some fear of the future. This could be the end of the world, no? This is a sign. Okay? So, yon, ang daming mga difficult thoughts or irrational thoughts that could be disturbing, that could be serve as your hook, no, at the moment, or maybe in the past. So how do we handle that? How do we manage that, my dear audience? The question is, what can we do? What can I do? Okay? How can I address this difficult thought and feeling? Now, there's a good news, my dear audience. When you say being focused and engaged, no? That's one way, no? That's one way by unhooking, no? Unhooking yourself from these difficult thoughts and feeling. Now, what do you mean by focus or engage, no? It says there, first, you need to learn how to focus and engage and pay attention better. Pay attention better. Now, to engage is in something means to give it your full attention. Now, my question is, ladies and gentlemen, right now, again, I want you to type in the chat box an exclamation point if you are engaged, if you are focused right now. Are you looking at the screen? Are you seeing the presentation? Are you maybe looking at your phone? Can you hear my voice? Okay, so I can see some exclamation points. So yon. So being focused and engaged. So yon. So we continue. So I think we are pressed for time. So let's move on. No? Sige. Now, when you give your full attention to any activity, you say you are focused. No? If you are more engaged, you will find your relationship with others more satisfying. And how do you do that? How do you do that? There are many ways to practice engaging in life or focusing. No, for example, when you're drinking your cup of coffee, it's like you're drinking your cup of coffee for the first time. You savor the smell. Slowly, let it sit on your tongue. Feel it on your feet. Savor the taste. You drink it as slowly as possible, savoring the taste, noticing the temperature, etc., etc. Okay? Now, you can practice these skills with any activity you do. When you talk to your loved one, when you talk to your family member, when you talk to your student, when you chat, even when it's chat, no, are you engaged? No, even if it is via messenger or text or SMS, no, are you engaged in the activity? When you are doing your chores, when you are doing your work in the office, are you engaged? Are you focused 100%? Now, why am I asking this? It's very important for you to be focused and engaged because when you do things and you are focused, you are doing it efficiently. But if you're doing things and you are not focused, you're doing it poorly. And sometimes you tend to forget details that, oh, I forgot this and I forgot that. I was about to say this and I was about to say that. And when you're talking to a person, to a friend, to a loved one, to a boss, to a colleague, and you are not engaged and you are focused, one moment you're listening to them. Later on, you're not listening anymore. You're already hooked by your thoughts and feelings. So you see, when you are focused, when you talk to somebody, you look at the person in the eyes. You notice their facial expression. You notice their tone of voice, etc., etc. So this is one way for you to be able to unhook from those thoughts and feelings. But you will tell me, but Miss Peach, your my difficult thoughts and feelings are painful. They are too painful and they overpower me. So you see, at times we might be experiencing emotional storm. Emotional storm. So you see, when there is a storm, you can imagine when there is a storm and you're up there in the tree. So imagine, when you have emotional storm, it's like you're up there in the tree. Okay? So if you're high in the tree, storm begins, what would you want? Do you want to stay in the tree? Of course, you want to go down. Look for a safer ground. So this is where we have to ground ourselves. We have to ground ourselves. While you are in the tree, you are in great danger. When you go down and ground yourself as quickly as possible, and maybe if you are already on the ground and you stay grounded during an emotional storm, you are on a much safer place, and you can also help others. You could comfort others while the storm rages. So you see, that is how to be able to unhook from those painful thoughts and feelings. Okay? We need to ground ourselves whenever our emotional storms appear. How do we do that? So you can notice. First, you notice how you are feeling and what you're thinking. Second, you slow your breathing. Third, slowly press your feet into the floor. I think we don't really have much time to practice this now, but I believe our organizers will share with you the presentation so you can practice this during your own quiet time or when you are experiencing being hooked by difficult thoughts and feelings. So again, number 1, notice. 2, slow down, slow your breathing. Number 3, slowly press your feet into the floor. And number 4, refocus. Refocus on the world around you. Notice the world around you. And then, you have to be engaged again in life. Pay attention to others because the world is not only inside you. There's a bigger world outside. Can you see the colors? Can you see 5 objects around you? Can you feel that pressure between your hand and maybe your cell phone or your computer or your mouse maybe, or perhaps the ball pen that you're holding right now? Pay attention, focus on what you're doing, and live your values. That is how you can manage stress much better, my dear audience. So yon, take a moment to think about, maybe you can do this later also for your assignment, but you don't need to pass it. I will not check it. So that is for your own consumption. You can write down the things that you have tried for getting rid of difficult thoughts and feelings. And by the way, we have a poll here, no? Can we have our poll up now? The question is, can we throw away or forget our difficult thoughts and feelings? Yes or no? Okay, maraming nagsabi ng yes, no, maybe. Yes, 75, 65%. Can we throw it away? Okay, we'll see. You really cannot throw it away because you see, the practical skills or steps or techniques that I'm teaching you right now, they're not meant to erase all those difficult thoughts and feelings. They're not meant to take away your stress. They're not meant to make life perfect. You see? Because we said that stress is important. Stress is normal. Anxiety can also be part of life. So the idea is, if they will bother us, if they will hook us, the thoughts and feelings, it's time to, number 1, notice. Notice. You can type it in the chat box. The first thing is to notice. Okay? What are the thoughts and feelings that hook you? Next is to name them. Name them. So how do you name? So you can say, here's a painful memory about my past. Here is anger. Here is pain of separation. Here is fear about the future. Here is a sad memory about what happened to a family or loved one. Here's fear about tomorrow, what will happen tomorrow. So all those things, you have to name them. So the moment you say, I notice that I have anger for this person. I notice that I have fear or worry about the future, etc., etc. So the more you are able to name and notice your difficult thoughts and feelings, the more you are able to unhook yourself from these thoughts and feelings. And then next is refocus, as I've said earlier. Go back to the people around you, to your environment, your family, your loved one. Where are you working? No, who are you working with? What are you doing at the moment? Okay? So next is to refocus, as I have said, no? And then to engage fully in that activity. Remember, when you are hooked, you're moving away from your values. You are not focused on your activity. Now, when you are able to name and identify and then refocus, you're able to give your 100% attention to your activity. So that is the purpose. Not really to throw away like rubbish, to burn or bury or forget, no, those negative thoughts and feelings. They might come back. They might come back. So I tell you, my dear audience, you can practice. Practice it. Every time these difficult thoughts and feelings will come back again. Okay? So the more practice, the better. So your values, going back to your values, will describe what kind of person you want to be. Your goal is what you want to achieve, but your values is what you want to be. There are times that your goals will not be, you will not be able to achieve your goals. For example, for the day, I want to do these things, but you're not able to accomplish it. But you can be a better version of yourself. You can achieve your desire to be kind, your desire to be supportive, your desire to be caring, etc., etc. So yon. Okay. Now we have a poll here. Choose your top one from among these 3 given values. Okay. So I have just written 3 there, but I know you have a lot. Do you want to be generous? Do you want to be kind? Do you want to be caring? So saan dito yung pinaka gusto natin? Siguro, dyan sa binigay kong 3, I know you have different, a lot of values that you want to achieve in your life. Yan. So karamihan po, to be kind. No, to be kind. Doing an act of kindness for others will make us, or will give us that kind of satisfaction that we achieve the values that we want to have, that we want to emulate. And at the back of your mind, that will unhook you, that will keep you focused on what you're doing and what you want to do in the near future. So yon. So maybe you have some questions, no? Before I move on to my next topic, you have some questions, you can just type it in the chat box, and maybe Sir Mark, we can address those questions later, no? During our question and answer.
Yes, ma'am. Later
Okay.
on, after your talk.
Okay, sige po. Sige. Now, as librarians, no? So, knowing how to unhook, no, di ba? Siguro, pag nakaka-experience tayo ng anxiety or stress, so sometimes we cannot do our work properly, we cannot focus. So, having those practical skills, I hope you will be able to also practice it, not only in your work, but also in your own personal life, at home, everywhere you go, anywhere you go, you can practice it every time you are hooked by your feelings, no? And difficult thoughts and feelings. Sige. So, moving on to how making library as a mental and physical hub, no? So I just want to define, no, this is from Google, no, the definition of a community hub, no? It is a place that is a focal point for local activities, services, facilities. So you see, I highlighted, I will not read all. I highlighted the term there, multi-purpose. It reflects local needs, social function, addressing, and our first speaker shared with you how you can maximize your library services using social media. So I know you were able to learn so many things on how to apply social media or use social media in your promoting your services in the library. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, at this time of pandemic, kanina during the poll, you said you are coping, you're learning how to cope, no? Karamihan sa inyo. So I'm happy to know that that we are on that stage of our life no right now, even if we are still uncertain about the future. So we are now learning how to adapt. No, like for example, I just want to share with you the Colorado Virtual Library, how they adapted to the pandemic. So meron silang, they created the what they call the Library at Home Hub. No, it is a hub for virtual library services as well as strategy that guided the staff and their patrons or their users. So marami silang ginawang mga services, like for example, organized messaging. They came up with different as work or online activities even for the staff because of the stay-at-home order. So yon. So next is we want to share. No, we want to share. Since we are able to adapt, we want to share to the public, no, to the community, to our patrons, to our library users, and if you are also in a different field, to our clients or clientele, no. So this library that I'm talking about, no, and other library in the other parts of the world, they made use of the term librarian entrepreneurship, no. So librarian entrepreneurship. Here they are using just ordinary phones or tablets or Google Docs, for example, no, YouTube. They're coming up with virtual programs, no? They're coming up with, even with their low-tech resources, they're able to come up with different virtual programs so that they will continue to offer their services to their patrons. So yun. So I'm happy also that you guys are all here and you are willing to learn, no? Like what our first speaker shared earlier, no? The different tips or techniques that you can use to maximize your social media in promoting your services. So yon. So like you can create centralized hub, you can come up with update your website, for example. You can do social media posts to continue to promote your services and to make your services accessible to the public or to your clients, even if they are still or they are stay at home, especially for our students who are homeschooled right now. So yon. And you are able to connect, no? You are able to connect. Sige nga. I want this poll to be up right now for our team here. See, how is your library responding to this pandemic? Letter A, reorganizing. B, migrating to digital platform. And letter C, doing the same old ways. Okay, so I'm happy to know that many of us are reorganizing. It might be both, no, our traditional way of doing things and maybe reinventing our ways, no, doing the modern ways, especially using the digital platform or using the available technology or resources that we have right now. So migrating to digital platform, ayon. So parang 48% and 46% po ng ating mga participants ay nandoon sa stage na yon. So congratulations, no, ladies and gentlemen, that despite these challenges, we are trying to do our best to be able to connect with our patrons, with our users. So you see, so some libraries in the other parts of the world, like this one, they are having youth programming. So they go virtual story times for kids, no? So I think earlier it was mentioned also that using social media is also a problem for children, no, because they're not allowed to use social media like Facebook. So you can reach out to them with your virtual programs, no? So yan, by keeping your hours current in online searches, like others here, they call their program quarantine librarianship. So all of these things, no, I also included in my presentation the what do you call this, the resources or the that you can also check out later for yourself. So yun. Okay, so finally is to innovate. Finally is to innovate. No, there's no other way but up. No, we cannot go back to the old normal. Perhaps even after this pandemic, we continue to innovate because we know that who knows, no, this online learning might continue. Because you see, right now, like I also teach, no, in the School of Liberal Arts, and as a counselor, I see that some students, some of our students are not here in the Philippines, they're abroad. We have students in the PhD program who are working in the US. They are Filipinos but working in the US, and they are enrolled now in our PhD program. So you see, now we realize that kaya pala natin. We can do it. No, we thought that it's only the big universities who can do an online learning like UP, Ateneo de Manila, and DLSU Manila. But you see, right now we are doing all these things. So we try to innovate. And maybe, who knows, no? Babalik pa ba tayo sa old normal? Maybe these ways now are much, much better. So we are pushing ourselves to the limits. We're learning a lot of things. Our schools, our librarians, our government, we're doing a lot, no? So yon. So also, I also included in this presentation the resources that you can use. Like, for example, this one is by Natalie Binder. She's the director at Jefferson County Public Library. So she uploaded remote service libraries can provide, no? What are the things? For example, I'm just going to read 5 here. One is to offer ebooks, streaming video, and other digital materials. Second is make a video about how to access the library's digital resources. 3 is develop, share, and maintain a community resource guide. And by the way, I remember my friend here, no, the director of our library, Ma'am Lini Kalingasyon, she forwarded to us, no, faculty and staff, and perhaps the students, the how to access the digital resources of the library of the Ateneo de Zamboanga University. And in fact, now I'm also sharing it to my students. So I think there is also a need, no. Personally, I feel that there is a need that to walk our users, no, to walk them through how to access these digital resources or online resources. So ang dami po, ang dami-dami. So we are not limited because we cannot go to the library physically. So that means we are limited with our learnings, we are limited with our readings, we are limited with our searches. So now is the high time to innovate. So yon. So I also included the resources there. You can see for yourselves later. I think our organizers here will share the presentation with you so you can have it later. Yon. So I just want to share this statement from Lencioni 2020. He said, "We will either emerge better or worse from this crisis." Also, si Kleinenberg said, "The coronavirus pandemic could help us rediscover the better version of ourselves." So I think all of you will agree with me that we already did. We discovered the better version of ourselves. And finally, before I say thank you, I would like to share this with you. By Charles Dickens, no, A Tale of Two Cities, 1902. "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair." So with that, my dear audience, librarians, friends, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. Mark?
Okay, we're thinking Mark, nag-reconnect siya.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
hello Mark.
Yes, I'm back, sir. So, muchísimas gracias a todos, Miss Norma, for giving your time to help us comprehend more on mental and physical aspect, especially in today's situation. I know that our participants learned a lot from you, ma'am. Yes, I can sense na talagang it's very stressful in today's environment, lalo na during the time of pandemic. And yes, we cannot avoid stress. And according to you, that stress is normal. And we as person or as a librarian by profession, we should innovate ourselves and in our library for us to cope with the changing environment because we cannot go back according to your. So, in by that, I just want to shout out to those who are participants who give feedback from your discussions, ma'am. According to one of the participants, that it's very therapeutic po yung topic mo, ma'am. O, diba? And another one is excellent speaker for this topic po daw. So
Thank
I
you.
think,
Thank you, Mark.
and now I think we are ready for the Q&A portion. So now we will go ahead and take some questions. Just a reminder that please be sure to type your questions into the chat box. So I think game naman po ba kayo, Sir Vince and Miss Norma, for the Q&A portion?
Yes, Sir
Oh,
Mark.
ayan, Sir Vince is back also. So para lang sa pageant, may Q&A portion talaga. So since our speaker are game for the questions, okay, let's start the question. So I have created some questions here, ma and sir. So now one question here is very interesting po siya ang kanyang question. Sometimes I experiencing heaviness in my chest, just simply thinking of problems. Minsan naisip ko na lang, I'm tired of everything. Paano po kaya maiiwasan at malalabanan ang ganitong pakiramdam? I think it's for you, Ma'am Norma.
Okay. So remember yung sinabi natin kanina, the difficult thoughts and feelings, feeling of being tired. Okay? So what is important is you know how to name the thought and feeling that makes you feel tired. Okay? And then after naming it, you refocus and be engaged again on what you're doing. You realize that I feel tired, but I still need to do some chores. I still need to take care of my family. So when you realize that you still have other responsibility, when you realize that you still have to take care of your kids, for example, you go back to your value of being kind, your value of being generous, your value of wanting to support your family or friend or colleague, di ba? Pag naalala mo yon, you realize that, ay, oo nga pala, I'm too focused on my thought and feeling. But I need to do these things. I need to be here for my family. I need to be here for my colleague, for example, or coworkers. So yon, again, going back to the steps, name, refocus, and continue to be kind or continue to do your values. So yun po.
Ayan, thank you for
I hope I
answering.
answered this question.
Okay, thank you for answering her question, ma'am. So ayan, indeed, it's very important for us to name those mga stress, anxieties, and worries because it's part of our lives, and that time to reconnect or refocus ourselves, then go back to our daily routine. So ganyan. So our values in life. So para makakatulong po para maibsan ang ating mga problems and anxieties in our life. So another next question, I think it's for Sir Vince. Sir, during this worldwide health crisis, in libraries, for sure there are still faculty members who are borrowing, who wants to borrow books face to face. May I know your procedures? So I repeat, sir, for Sir Vince, during this worldwide health crisis, in libraries, for sure there are still faculty members who want to borrow book face to face. May I know your procedure?
As of right now, we don't, wala kaming borrowing option na physical. Ang ginagawa namin is like, more on, meron silang form and then digitize. Portion of the book lang. Then, kailangan nilang may check the disclaimer doon. And then, i-scan namin, then we send it. Either we upload it on our e-reserve or we send it on the email.
So ayun. Okay.
limited pa lang siya sa faculty. We're still discussing, but probably we're going to do the same way sa
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for answering this question. So another question. Would ADMU library or other libraries consider to having a TikTok account? Since I know TikTok is very it's very trending right now, di ba, sir? So me myself, I have a TikTok account, but for for entertainment, for dancing purposes only. So would ADMU library or other libraries consider having a TikTok account?
as of right now, we don't consider having a TikTok account. First is time consuming gumawa ng TikTok video. Alam mo yun, tama ba, Mark? Time consuming.
Yes, sir. Mahirap talaga, lalo na pag mag-practice ka ng steps or ano talaga, time consuming for me.
Mga
For
ilang takes pa yung ginagawa mo kada TikTok.
Depende sa steps. Kung ang steps na yung dance steps is medyo mahirap, talagang it takes a lot of time yung pag-take ko ng video.
Yun pa. Second is, mapapaisip ka kung ano ito lalagay mong content. Siguro ang nakita ko sa TikTok, ang gumagawa parang merong isang librarian na gumagawa. You can check Mrs. Pope's Library. Okay. Meron siyang, pero personal account niya yun, hindi niya library account. Personal account niya, pero promoting yung library. Okay. Siguro in the future, let's see, kasi social media is evolving fast. For example, katulad niya sa Instagram, sa una, puro post ka lang ng post. Kung mapapansin nyo, if you go back, hindi pa uso yung Instagrammable picture na tinatawag eh. Ngayon, pag pumunta sa mga profile ng mga tao, halos parang organized yung pictures nila. Hindi na sila basta-basta nagpo-post ng kung ano ng picture. Kasi nilalagay na nila sa IG stories. Yung early part ng Instagram, walang IG stories. Okay? Yung early part din, wala rin. Dahil walang IG stories, walang poll. Or asking a question. Ngayon, meron na. Who knows kung baka mag-evolve pa yung TikTok to a better use, probably we will make a TikTok account for the library.
Ayan, thank you so much, sir, for answering. So yes, we can. I think there are one article about the use of TikTok in the libraries. So it depends on how you use TikTok to promote your library resources. Kasi in my case, I am using my TikTok account just for entertainment. I'm not using it to promote my library resources, etc. I'm using it for my own self because it's my one way to relieve stress, to stress myself from a very stressful work environment, and etc. Diba? So nakakatulong talaga maibsan yung problema. So another question. I think pwede po kayong dalawa mag-answer nito, sir, ma'am. How do you handle difficult library patron? Or kung kay ma'am is, how do you handle difficult students when you are bombarded with so much tasks and responsibilities, just like answering massive virtual queries from your community of users? How do you still manage to breathe down?
Okay. Sige. So again, I will give the same answer to that. So if you have difficult library patrons, I can relate because I am a teacher. Sometimes we have difficult parents. I'm a parent myself, so I know some parents here can connect, no? So some difficult parents would come and, or call you. So how do you handle that? Okay, how do you handle that? So, di ba nakaka-stress yung situation? So again, I'm going to bring you back to the same notice. Sorry. Hello. You have to notice the difficult thought and feeling, okay? You have to notice it. And then number 2, you have to name it, okay? What is this difficult thought and feeling? And then number 3, refocus. Refocus on what you're doing. Are you in the library now answering calls? Okay, so that's what you're doing now. So be present in the moment. I'm holding the phone, I'm typing in my computer, answering queries. So be back in the present moment. Refocus in what you're doing. And again, go back to your value of wanting to be generous of your time, being able to serve as our first speaker mentioned that you want to answer some question, even if it's beyond office hours, you want to be of help. So that is your value of being compassionate, of being kind, of being generous. So go back to that. And in that way, you're able to refocus and you're able to unhook from your difficult thought or feeling of being stressed, irritable, or anger maybe. So yon. I hope I answered your question.
How about you, Sir Vince? How do you handle yung library patron who are difficult?
Same lang din. Like, siguro I need to stop. Like, katulad niyan, ang setup is work from home simula nag-start yung pandemic. My setup is, I'm here inside my bedroom. Sabi ko yung bed ko at yung table ko. Now, if you, ang dami, like hundreds or kung ilan man yung tinatanggap, probably, you should analyze din kung nainis ka ba dun sa message mismo itong patron na ito. Or nainis ka kasi ang dami mo nang nasasagot. Or na-burn out ka. You need to stop. Ang ginagawa ko, tumatayo ko ng table ko, I go down, okay, drink water, or just walk outside, and then go back. Sometimes kasi, nangyayari, it's like, pagbalik ko, and then I read the question again. Parang, okay, hindi naman pala siya galit. Kasi isa ring challenge ngayon sa pandemic dahil sa work from home is hindi face-to-face yung pag-ipag-usap mo. Minsan yung way ng pagta-type ng mga faculty or the student para sa'yo is parang on a high tone or parang galit. But if you analyze it carefully, pag continuous yung tense mo, hindi naman pala siya. That's for her normal way of communication. Hindi lahat gumagamit ng madaming emoticon, di ba? Merong mga sobrang formal. You need to analyze first. You need to stop, breathe, and then relax, and then refocus again. Okay.
Oh, ayan. So, another question, sir. Let's proceed to another question. I think sa iyo pa din to, Sir Vince. How were you able to handle concerns from your students on still having library fee despite the online learning setup? Again, how were you able to handle concerns from your students on still having library fee despite online distance learning setup?
Sorry, Mark, medyo putol-putol. Tama ba ang question is about handling the answering question regarding library fee?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Tama.
Tama.
We answer it, we explain it kung bakit ganito yung library fee. Meron pang isang issue like parang bakit parang mas mahal ngayon yung library fee compared sa dati. We explain it. Okay? Hindi namin binibigay yung detail kung saan napupunta to, sa ganito, sa ganyan. But we explain it. Meron din mga parents, ganyan. Or if they want is yung complete list, pwede naman yun sa ibang office. Like for example, accounting, kung sino yung nag-handle. Okay? What is important is meron kayong maisasagot and never leave them hanging. Kasi magagalit talaga sa inyo yung mga parents. Siyempre, ngayong pandemic, maraming, let's say, nawalan ng trabaho and then they're going to send their kids or, diba? So, every penny counts ngayon. So, talagang magtatanong sila kung bakit library fee.
So, ayan. So, I think we still have time to cater some questions pa. Ito po, I think kay ma'am. Is acceptance not included? Is acceptance not included po ba? Yun lang po ang question niya, ma'am.
Okay, may hugot ba to? Sige, kung may hugot yan, okay lang. Okay lang yan. Sige, so again, di ba, notice and name. So kanina sinabi natin, if we have difficult thoughts, painful thoughts and feelings, do we throw them away? The answer is no. No.
No.
We accept them. So we accept them. They are there. It's just that we don't allow ourselves to be hooked by these difficult thoughts and feelings. In other words, hindi ka nabubuhay para sa past. Kung hugot yan, para sa nakaraan. Okay? Andito na tayo ngayon sa kasalukuyan. We are in the present moment. So we focus on what we are doing now. So sinabi ni Sir Vince, no, you stop. Okay? Look around you. What are the things that are important to me right now? Okay? Mahalaga pa ba yung nakaraan? Kung hugot man yan? Siyempre mahalaga. Kasi naging bahagi yan ng buhay natin. We accept. Even if it gives us difficult or painful thoughts and feelings, we don't allow that thought and feelings to hook us for the rest of our life. We focus on what we're doing, we refocus, we get engaged, and again, we go back to our values. What do we want to be as a person? So yun po yun. So, is there acceptance? Yes, there is acceptance because that one is painful. So, hindi natin sinasabi, kalimutan mo yung sakit. Hindi po yun possible. Nandyan pa rin. It's just that you don't want that pain to get in the way for you to be able to lead a normal and well-functioning life right now. Okay? Sige. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Yes, gracious ma'am. Indeed, acceptance is the key para magpatuloy tayo sa buhay. So I think another question ay goes to Sir Vince. Ito po, ginagamit po ba dyan sa Rizal Library ang InfoLive? Ginagamit po ba dyan sa Rizal Library ang InfoLive? Yun lang po ang question niya.
InfoLive. No, we don't use InfoLive.
Sir?
Is it like Econ Live?
InfoLive po, sir.
InfoLive.
InfoLive, information, ano to ba to? InfoLive. Yun lang po ang nakalagay sa kanyang question. Ginagamit po ba
Yeah,
dyan?
InfoLive. I guess hindi ginagamit ng Ateneo yung InfoLive.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So another, I think kay Ma'am Nora po ito. Norma, rather. No work, no pay, or skeletal is very stressful. What can you suggest to lessen the stress aside from talking to the school admin? I repeat, no work, no pay, or skeletal is very stressful. What can you suggest to lessen the stress aside from talking to the school admin?
Okay, so, yeah. Earlier, I mentioned na yung financial worries natin, no? Yung financial resources, where else can we get the money that we need to support our family? If it's skeletal workforce, for some schools maybe, the number of days that you work, those are just the number of days that you get paid. And that is sad, no? That is sad. That is sad. Many employees are experiencing this situation right now. So, of course, when you have that kind of experience, no, again, I cannot tell you, no, just focus and then you allow your children to feel hungry. No, mahirap naman mag-focus tapos gutom yung mga anak mo. So, yun, I don't have answer about the financial side, but the psychological, I can answer that. No, I can answer that. So yun, like for example, again, if you are able to name and identify, no, what's that difficult thought and feeling, like worry, fear about uncertainty of the future, uncertainty about the next few days, no, where will we get the resources to be able to finance or support the needs of the family. So that's your worry. And then go back. You stop, you go back. refocus on what you're doing. Some what do you call this, people during this time of pandemic, they became more productive, no, they became more productive during this time, because the days that they don't have work, they try to look for other work, because there are other ways, no, like for example, since you want, your value is you want to provide for your family, you want to be generous, di ba, yun yung value. So comes in your goal. What's your goal? So the goal is to be able to make both ends meet, di ba? To be able to support the needs of the family. So if you are focused on what you're doing, on what your value and what your goal is, mawawala yung fear. Mawawala yung focus mo sa fear or worry. Pupunta ka ngayon sa solution, di ba? That's what you want. So you will look for ways on how to solve that problem, not being hooked by those thoughts and feelings of worries and fears. So yun.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. I think this will be our last question. And para po ito kay Sir Vince. So, sir, do you think there is a need for the admin to approve first every time magpo-post ang library through social media accounts? I repeat, do you think there is a need for the admin to approve first every time magpo-post ang library through social media account?
Much more important is to have approval for having a social media account na representing yung library. For us kasi, we don't ask the admin. Ang approval is coming from the director. But regarding the comments, no, you're free to comment. Bahala kami kung paano kami reply sa tweets, sa direct message, sa private message, sa post, sa threads, bahala kami mag-reply. Pero for the poster and other announcement, we ask permission to
Ayan. Thank you so much, sir, for answering. I think it looks like we answer your queries. If there are still questions that we're not able to answer, our speakers are very much willing to your questions. Di ba, sir? Vince and Ma'am Norma, are you willing to cater all their questions? Kasi meron pa po sa mga dito sa chat box na nag-a-ask po ng question, and I think we don't have enough time to answer all those questions. So let's move on the presentation of the certificate. So please allow me to read the citation. Philippine Librarians Association Incorporated, Zamboanga Peninsula Region, Librarians Council in partnership with Regalo Touching Lives, Certificate of Appreciation to Edward Vincent C. Guevarra, RLMLIS, and recognition and appreciation of his valuable contribution as resource speaker during the webinar on Librarians in Action with the topic Going Virtual, Utilization of Social Media Platform in Times of Pandemic, held on August 28, 2020, signed Lini M. Kalingacion, RLMALS, President of Zampen Region. So another certificate of appreciation to Norma A. Baluca, RGC LPT PhD candidate, in recognition and appreciation of her valuable contribution as resource speaker during the webinar on Librarians in Action with the topic Surviving Pandemic, Library as Mental and Physical Hub with the Community, held on August 28, 2018. Signed, Ms. Lini Kalingacion, President of Zampen. And another certificate of appreciation is given to Regalo Touching Lives and recognition and appreciation of their valuable contribution as partner in hosting the webinar entitled Librarians in Action, held on August 28, 2020, signed Ms. Lini M. Kalingacion, RLMALS. Oh, ayan, thank you so much po, sir and ma'am, and especially to the Regalo Touching Lives as our partner in conducting this webinar, very timely webinar. I know that our participants learn a lot from you, sir, ma'am. So ayan, let's proceed to the presentation of the fly officers of Zamboanga Peninsula region. And this webinar would not be a success, would not be possible without the following individual who plans, create, and para ma-realize ang webinar po na ito. So our president, Ms. Lini M. Kalingasol, she is the Library Director of Ateneo de Manila, Ateneo de Zamboanga rather. So our Vice President, Dr. Madeline F. Candido, she is the Librarian 4 of Zamboanga City Library. Our Secretary, Maria Delisa E. Araneta, Librarian of Ateneo de Zamboanga University School of Medicine. To our Treasurer, Carmelita T. Agustin, Librarian 3 of Zamboanga City Library. And to our Auditor, Ms. Girly Manikap, the Librarian 2 of Hall of Justice, Regional Trial Court Library of Zamboanga City, and yours truly, Mark Andrew Di Bacardo, the Public Relations Officer, and I am the Campus Librarian of Jose Rizal Memorial State University, and to Dr. Elisa L. Montesilio, the ex-officio Assistant Professor and also the OIC of Zamboanga State College of Marine Sciences and Technology. Ayan, syempre, palapakan po din natin ang ating ang aming mga officers, my co-officers who are behind this this webinar. And to our partner, the Regalo Touching Lives, headed by Sir Carlos Eclevia. Sir, thank you so much for the collaboration and for helping us in realizing this timely webinar. Maraming salamat po sa lahat. To our speakers, Sir Vince and Miss Norma, thank you so much po. And for our closing remarks, let us hear from Miss Lini Kalingasyon, the President of Live Zampen.
I quote, "Ends are not bad things. They just mean that something else is about to begin. And there are many things that don't really end. Anyway, they just begin again in a new way. Ends are not bad, and many ends aren't really an ending. Some things are never ending." Unquote. C. Joy Belsi. Our webinar may have ended, but the love and passion of librarians, the library profession continue. Pandemic and lockdowns may have ended some businesses, but opened doors to online industry. It may have affected schools and libraries, but this pandemic led us to something new, that is new normal, which prompted the private and public sectors to adapt to the new normal environment. We, librarians, will continue to be flexible and agile as we face the new normal. We will never stop learning using the many different platforms available today. The successful conduct of this webinar on Libraries in Action is an example of how we show our flexibility and agility in the new workplace environment. On behalf of the Philippine Librarians Association, Zamboanga Peninsula Librarians Council, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you who have come together here from various parts of the country for your cooperation support. Our topics, going virtual, utilization of social media platform in times of pandemic, and surviving pandemic, library as mental and physical hub with the community, are both timely and relevant as we are facing the unprecedented pandemic and everything seems new from our daily routine to the teaching modality. It is our hope that through this webinar, we were able to help address some pressing issues on the use of social media in the library and learn how to maintain mental health in times of pandemic. Let me thank the speakers, Mr. Edward Vincent Guevarra of Rizal Library of Ateneo de Manila University and Ms. Norma Baluca of Ateneo de Zamboanga University College Guidance Office for sharing their time, knowledge, and expertise on the different topics presented. You have given us sufficient information that will help us do and cope better. You have significantly helped make the event a success. Same gratitude goes to our host, the Regalo Touching Lives, headed by Mr. Carlo Eclevia. Sir Carlo, muchas gracias. To Play Zambian Council Board of Trustees, thank you for the support. Shout out to our webinar moderator, Mr. Mark Agrobacordo, for the job well done. Once again, muchísimas gracias a todos. We look forward to seeing you again in the next webinar. Thank you.
Ayan, thank you so much po, Miss Lenny, for such a good words. Yan, may I request Sir Vince and Miss Norma and Sir Carlos to turn on your cam for a photo opportunity. Para remembrance, for documentation purposes po.
Smile.
So, ikaw magkuha, sir. Sir Carlos.
Okay, ako na. Smile. Isa pa. Okay, one more. Smile. All right.
Ayan, thank you so much again, Sir Vince and Miss Norma, for your time. Maraming salamat po for accepting our invitation to be part of this webinar. We hope that all our participants learn a lot today. Now, we need to make some important announcement. Please listen carefully. In order to receive an e-certificate, participants are required to attend at least 2 hours of the webinar sessions and accomplish the evaluation form with the link provided together with the PIN code. Okay, remember, accomplish the evaluation form with the link provided together with the PIN code. If you did not get the link, don't worry because we will post the evaluation form an hour after this webinar. Expect to receive the e-certificate after 3 to 7 days. For more webinars hosted by Regalo Touching Lives, please like RTL Facebook page for you to keep updated. The YouTube recorded of this webinar is posted in the RTL wall if you want to review this webinar. Okay? Okay, Tuba. So just screenshot the evaluation link and PIN code is action. Capital A, C, T, I, capital O, and N. So screenshot nyo na lang po para hindi na po kayo magtanong later on for the evaluation link and the PIN code. So, on behalf of Zamboanga Peninsula Librarians Council, we would like to thank you for participating in today's webinar. We hope to see you again next time. Stay safe and healthy. Again, muchísimas gracias a todos. This is Marky, now signing off.